Hi guys, this is Vidas.
And Ausra.
Let's start episode 145 of Ask Vidas and Ausra podcast. How are you, Ausra, today?
I'm fine.
What are you planning to do in your organ playing today?
Well, I have, to work with snow for a while at the beginning and then just to go to practice.
Me too.
Because we have such a heavy snow in Lithuania right now.
Yeah, I hope in other parts of the world it's a little better.
Well, not necessarily. As I heard in the United States, we have extremely cold winter this year. And in Australia, there is extreme hot weather. So I guess we are lucky.
Yes. So today's question was sent by Michael, and he writes, "Good morning, Vidas. Thank you for your email and organ tips. I do not know if it is too late to reply to your email. To answer your two questions, I will first of all explain my situation. I'm an organist at St. Lawrence Feltham Roman Catholic Church, and I play at 3 masses at the weekend, for which I receive a small stipend. I also play for weddings and funerals in Kingston and Hanworth Crematoriums to make ends meet. I also playing for a funeral director's carol service this year. My dream is to get better and better and maybe perform at a recital. I am a keen pianist. I believe I have nearly mastered Chopin's Etude No. 1 Opus 10, but also like jazz, Bach, of course, and other composers. Unfortunately, what holds me back from my dream is that I can only manage to practice on the organ for about an hour a week in church, and not loud pieces because the Presbytery is joined to the church and people are working there. So I content myself trying to master the trio sonatas and gentle pieces. I do try and practice sometimes the finale from Vierne's Symphony No. 1 at reduced volume and adapt other pieces that wait for a closing voluntary, as I have been informed that if I do a high volume voluntary, it may disturb people talking. I have access to a piano that my mother and I bought. Also, I have a bipolar disorder, but this is controlled very well by medication. But I need to concentrate especially well when playing for services, otherwise I could make a mistake, and I try and control my nerves. Thank you again for your emails and tips. All the best and God bless, Michael." First of all, Ausra, isn't it annoying when people tell you that you're playing too loud, you're playing too soft, too fast, too slow?
Yes, but that's what organists, expect in their daily lives, I remember once I went to church to practice, and the lady who guards the church, she just told, "Oh, could you come back tomorrow? I have such a headache." Of course, I didn't practice that day, but it was annoying for me too, because it took me almost an hour just to get to the church. So that's perfectly normal, and I can understand very well this problem.
Exactly. So for me too, sometimes I go to church and there would be like groups of tourists coming in, and the guides would talk quite loudly for this group. And whenever I play the organ in the church, then I might disturb their guide. They're basically talking. So some of them like organ music, but some don't. So I've had occurrences when from downstairs the guides would even shout for an organist to stop playing at all. So it's really annoying.
It's very annoying, yes. And plus, in our church, you never know when the funeral will be, and it might spoil all your plans of practicing. Especially it's annoying if your recital is coming up and you really need to practice in the church.
But we are both, regular organists there, and we can still adapt, right?
Yes.
What if a guest organist comes from out of town, even from abroad?
I know when it's very hard for him or her, to explain this situation, and it makes you really to feel guilty and very uncomfortable. Although you are not the reason why he or she cannot practice.
So for Michael, he's right, I think, in playing sometimes with soft volume. Don't
Sure,
you?
It's better, to be in a good relationship with, people in your church. But, as he told us that he doesn't have enough time to practice on the organ, maybe he could find also another church which would allow him to practice, and he could do that more often.
Mm-hmm.
In exchange of, let's say, some service, some playing.
Yeah, that could be quite possible, I think. In a lot of places there is a need or shortage for organists, so without even overextending yourself, you just offer occasional service. Or if you don't want to play in public, you can make a small donation.
I know. And as Michael, wrote in his letter that, he plays for Roman Catholic Church, maybe he doesn't feel comfortable going to another, church denomination to ask, if we would let him to practice there. But I think it should be perfectly okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because, for us organists, it's just impossible to be connected with only one church.
Exactly.
So I think it's perfectly fine to play in other churches as well, at least in my opinion.
And Protestant denominations are more open, actually,
Sure.
for organists and musicians from all faiths.
Because I miss that time living in the United States, because there were so many open places just to go and to practice for us, being just an organ student. Like in Michigan, in Ann Arbor, and then, in Lincoln, Nebraska, we could go basically to almost any church to practice. And Methodist church were especially, open for, organists.
Exactly. They have no problem with your faith. They don't actually ask what your belief system is.
Yes.
At all. Unlike some of the Roman Catholic churches.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that might give him, more opportunities, more time to practice on the organ.
Excellent.
But what I noticed from his letter, that if he is practicing trio sonatas and he can play them well, that's an excellent thing, because I believe that only experienced organist can master trio sonatas. So basically, if you can play trio sonatas, you probably can play almost anything.
And he is playing with Finale by Vierne from the Symphony No. 1. So yeah, it should be, his level should be quite advanced, I would say. It's very nice to be able to play those pieces. But should he stop here and think that his skill is already complete, perfected, and set for life, or should he still try to improve?
I think, each of us still have to improve something. None of us is perfect.
And never will be.
That's for sure.
Excellent.
Well, and as he talking about making mistakes sometimes, that it's hard for him to be focused during his performance. I think it's not related actually with his illness, as he told us, because each of us actually have the same problem. I haven't heard a person who would say, "Oh, it's so easy for me to stay concentrated. I never make mistakes." Usually, it's otherwise. What do you think about that, with this?
In this day and age, in our society, there are more and more people who are in need of focusing because there are constant distractions everywhere, and it's even harder to focus because we are bombarded by constant change of information, and it's quite frustrating if you are playing the organ but your mind is all over the place, right?
I know, but sometimes it's really hard to concentrate, especially if you get some constant distraction. For example, during service, like a baby starts to cry, or somebody starts to talk too loud during your prelude or postlude.
Or a member from your choir comes up and starts to look at you or your music.
Yes, that's the thing, especially when you travel through Lithuania, in order to perform, and you have performance right after the Mass. And the choir member of that local church, we stays in the balcony and we look at you like you would be, I don't know, a monkey in a zoo or something like this. So sometimes people act really weird. Don't you think?
Maybe they haven't, had an opportunity to look at such a high-level organist from up close.
But still, we would need to think how you feel at that moment. You are a guest and you are performing, and
they're feeling like it's in a circus, right? You are like a clown, not like a clown maybe, but like an athlete, like a circus athlete or circus artist, and you're performing miracles in front of them, right? So they are in awe, basically.
I know, but it's still not good, to look at you closely when you are playing, or to come and to start turning pages of your score just to look around. I had the experience like that once too. Or to talk loudly among themselves next to the organ bench. So that might be quite distracting.
Could be. So I hope this has been useful, this information for our students, right?
Yes.
And now we're going to go and practice some more, right?
Sure.
And a little take care of the snow once it's stops snowing. Of course, it's doesn't make sense to shovel the snow while it's snowing.
I know, but soon we cannot use our car anymore if we will not move the snow.
And I will go to prepare the program notes for tonight's concert at our church. Our guest organist is playing, and then later I'll go to the concert itself.
Excellent.
Wonderful. Thank you guys for sending these wonderful questions. Osha and I are loving the process of helping you grow, and please send us more. We are always here to help you out. And remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.